Many local politicians sending their well wishes to the First family. Governor Kemp tweeted that his family wishes the president and First Lady a speedy recovery. He says his prayers are with them. Atlanta Mayor Keisha Bottoms tested positive over the summer, along with her husband and one of her children. She tweeted that a COVID diagnosis is unsettling, even more so when a loved one tests positive. She wrote that her thoughts and prayers are with the First family. Other lawmakers did not appear to be as sympathetic. Democratic State Senator Nikema Williams tweeted, "Looks like someone should have been more consistent about wearing a mask," and then encouraged people to vote for Joe Biden in the presidential election. Williams is running for the late Congressman John Lewis's seat in the November election. Of course, we will stay on top of this story all day long, on air and online. You can find the latest developments on our website, 11alive.com, and in the 11 Alive News app that you can download for free.